one of you in all of your time zones and all around the world and across the country. Hey, it's 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 5 p.m. on the West Coast. It's Friday morning, and in London, of course, it's 1 a.m. And in Chicago, that's another city. That's the Windy City. But in Tokyo, Japan, we have 9 a.m. on a Friday, and it's Thursday here on the East Coast. My name is Frank Allan. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for being with us. The name of the show is called Talk Back Live, and it's you and I for the next hour. We're going to be here until 9 o'clock. We're here every Thursday between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, and of course, we have a lot of fun. We engage you in conversation, because that's basically what we do on the show. We engage you in conversation. You could be part of us. All you have to do is just type all that you say, and I'll see this right there on the big screen. I'll see you right there. It'll pop right up there, and I will see you, and I will acknowledge you, and we'll engage in conversation. I'll throw out a topic, and then when we're through with that, or if you don't like that, we can quickly switch over to what you want to talk about. But you are the most important part about this show. That's why we want you to join us. Thank you so much for being along with us. Later on in the program, we've got sports coming up not too far away, this part of the half hour. We're going to talk to Brian Kemp coming in from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's going to be phoning in, as he always do each week, and he's going to bring you sports update, the latest developments in today's world of sports. Then later on, too, we'll have my picks for the weekend for those Turner Classic Movies, those classic movies that you enjoy so much. I think you're going to like what I picked out this week. And, of course, we'll talk about this day in history and so forth and so on. So I want to thank you again for being along with us. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to say hello to all of my friends as we simulcast on Facebook and YouTube. And I want to say hello because we are back on Facebook. After all of this time, we're back on Facebook. We've been gone for a while on Facebook, but we're back now. And I'm glad that we are. It's been it just seems like forever. And well, we were off for about 30 days. And what happened, the reason why we were off on those 30 days is because of Facebook claim that we posted something that didn't go with their standards. And but it didn't come and bite us. It didn't come and bite us until almost a year afterwards. And then they decided they were going to kick us off. I hate to use the word kickoff, but dismantle us from Facebook. No broadcasting on Facebook for 30 days. So we were off for 30 days, but we were on YouTube. So we were doing our broadcasting on YouTube only. Now, for those of you who normally watch us on Facebook and didn't see us here, and I hope that you had the foresight to see that each week when we went on the air, before we went on the air, I posted something on my Facebook that we would be on, and we will not be on Facebook, but we will be on YouTube, and I would, submit the, the direction, so you can click it on to the link, and you can find us on Facebook. And then after the show, after we did the live show, I always posted the show on Facebook for those of you who don't get a chance to watch it in real time. You had a chance to see it there. But I was just hoping that a lot of you who normally follow us on Facebook, switched over until now that we're back. I just hope that happened. But for those of you who didn't understand that, and maybe you said, okay, he's off. What happened? We don't know. That's exactly what happened. And, I posted something on my Facebook on why they decided that they were going to take us off for 30 days. And I looked at that. And if you go on my Facebook page after the show, go on my Facebook page and you see it, it's still there. You scroll down a bit, you'll still see it. 16 days before we went on the air, I posted it because it said it on the top, 16 days before broadcast. And what happened, we looked at it, I posted it, and it shows you why, and they'll show you what we posted, which was a pretty silly thing. And when you take a look at it, you're going to say, why? They took you off 30 days for that? However, I reached out to Facebook by means of this show, hoping that they would respond of sort. to let us know why and what was going on. Maybe I was able to plead a case or something like that on why I was taken off, but they never got back to us. And as you already know, you like Facebook, you're on Facebook, you know there's no way of contacting Facebook, the administration, or any people like that by means of email. There's no telephone number, there's no website or anything. So just in case something happens to you or you are kicked off and you don't know why, and a lot of people I know were kicked off Facebook for reasons that they couldn't understand. It happens. It just happens. And sometimes you may post something that happened 5 years ago, and then it'll come back to bite you after 5 years. You know, that I'll never understand. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to an administrator of Facebook to find out what's going on. But they never got back to us. Obviously, they didn't. Even if they heard the show, they didn't decide to do it. But I think the main thing now is that we're on. We're back. That's the main thing. And I am so glad we're back. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for enduring. Thank you for being with us, switching off from maybe you thought we weren't going to be on Facebook anymore and switching over to YouTube. YouTube carried us, and so we never really left anywhere. It's just a matter of getting back on. But when those fences, they let us out of jail at exactly 4:16 Eastern time, 4:16 this afternoon Eastern time. The barbed wire, well, they don't have barbed wire fence anymore. What do they call them? They call them razor wire fences now, right? And so the gates of the razor wire fence open up and they let us out, and here we are at 4:16 this afternoon, exactly 4:16. They jump back. So here we are. Now the point is we got to find out what's not to post or what to post. You never know. What to say, what not to say, you don't know. You don't know. Facebook has this funny way about them. I don't know. I'm not knocking them. I really appreciate them that we have this. But, we just don't know. So since it's now past tense, I am not going to bother about getting any kind of information from administration because now I know that's not going to work. But we are back, and I'm glad we are. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a hand for your endurance. I'm going to give you a hand for your endurance. So I give that hand clap to all of you. That hand clap is also going out to all of the people who work in hospitals and their doctors, nurses, and all of the hospital personnel, along with first responders such as the firefighters, police officers, what have you. All of them who have been with us since this pandemic. Now, the pandemic is still on in full swing. We have what they know as the Delta variant. That's with us. They're expecting another wave of another variant coming along, and it seems like we're getting or going backwards. And I'm here just to say one more time, please, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not knocking you. Everybody has their choice. This is freedom of choice. But I see how bad things are going, and only 50% of the country are vaccinated right now. Only 50% of the country are vaccinated right now. And I'm not people who don't want to get vaccinated at this particular point. They say, no, I'm not getting vaccinated. Some say, well, I'll do it later. And those of you who are saying, well, I'll do it later, at least there's a little hope there. And my statement to you when you say that is, why not now? Why not now? Let's do it now, And for those of you who don't want to do it, I just hope that you find it in your heart to do it. Because the only way we're going to get rid of this is get vaccinated and continue to wear our mask, use that hand sanitizer, and we're going back to where we were before. Do you know that here in New York, and I'm pretty sure other places around the world and across the country, are mandating restaurants. They're looking for people who are vaccinated to eat in their establishments. They're now asking, and there's a lot of places here in New York, a lot of places, eateries, once you come to the door, they're going to ask you for proof of vaccination, which is, of course, your card that everybody get. You should have one of those, and they want to see that for you to get in. If you're going to go inside, outside, eating outside is a different thing. I don't know, but they say now, if you're going to come in, you're going to have to show us that card, that passport, as they would call it. And just let us see that, and then you're able to sit at the bar or eat inside. But if you don't have that, we cannot serve you. How did we get to that? We shouldn't we shouldn't have to go through that. Everybody should be able to come in and have a good meal and have a drink at the bar or whatever, and sit with friends. But we're at this point now where we have to protect other people. We have to protect people. And we're protecting, ourselves, by wearing our mask and getting vaccinated. And so that's what's happening right now, and you still go into certain establishments. You go to the local pizza joint. You go right in there, and you have to wear a mask, People who don't want to wear a mask, rest assured that when you go into these places, you have to wear a mask. When you ride the bus or the subway, if you're going to fly, you're going to have to wear a mask. People are doing it. People are flying, they're wearing their mask and taking precautions. And I just wish, and I hope everyone does the same thing. Take the precautions, because it's very important that all of us together, help fight this pandemic, get it down to where it was before, because we were doing so well in the beginning. And it just hurts me to have to come with all of this. Don't be the person, and there are a lot of people, you've heard it on the news many times, don't be the person who says, I'm not going to get vaccinated, and then later on you wind up on a ventilator in a hospital, which, by the way, hospital beds are thinning out. They have no more hospital beds. They're running out of hospital beds, not to mention ventilators. And so remember how it was in the beginning when people, it was all over the country. Things got so bad. There were so many people in the hospitals, they had to keep people in their beds in a lobby until they were able to get space in a room, And I really don't want that. So don't be that person that says, well, I'm not going to get vaccinated. And then you wind up in one of these hospitals on a ventilator. And then your last words, hopefully not your last words, but you don't want to say, I wish I had gotten vaccinated. I am so sorry I didn't get vaccinated. You heard the story so many times when you watch the news that people said that. What does it take? I ask you, what does it take to get a shot in the arm? Do you know that they had approved, they're recommending now booster shots. They're recommending booster shots after 8 months of your second dose. You take Pfizer or Moderna. Those are the 2-dose vaccines. 1 dose is J&J, Johnson & Johnson. But they're recommending that you take a booster shot 8 months after your second dose. All right. So, and by the way, that's going to be available September 20th. Those shots are going to be available September 20th. So remember the date. It's on your card, so you can't forget it. It's on your card when you took your last shot. Do it 8 months after that particular date. Get a booster. And, I'm on board with it. Whatever it takes to stay healthy, whatever it takes, that's what I'm going to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we go. Now, for those of you who haven't taken the shots at all, jump on board. It's easy. It's simple. It's free. You don't have to pay a dime. They want to keep everybody healthy. We want to keep America healthy. People all around the world want to keep everybody healthy. The United States had shared vaccines to other countries already. And so that's how desperately they want to keep people going. They want to keep people healthy. If we have enough vaccines to fill up the world, that would be great. But listen, here in the United States, there's plenty of it. And all you have to do is say, I'm taking it. Listen, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, right, just Monday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, just Monday, was at a Republican meeting, some kind of gathering, right? Maskless, okay? And he's the one that he says no more masks. He's with that, on board with that. No more masks, no more masks. You know, he was at this meeting or whatever it was. He was this gathering, and he had no mask on. And here we are today. He contracted COVID-19. He contracted COVID-19. I got my fingers crossed. I hope it's not a big case. I hope he comes out of it. I'm not sure if he was vaccinated or not, but I do know it's like he's the no more mask kind of guy. You know, he doesn't want people to wear masks if they don't want to. And, you know, a lot of people are not wearing masks. And for those of you who don't want to wear a mask, you watch out for people who might want to be in your area, right? And you don't have a mask on and you're not vaccinated. No one knows that. So you're unprotected, and you're not doing the service of other people who are trying to get cured and take it easy. So it's just so much going on. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little later on. But right now, I am going to Charlotte, North Carolina, where the weather is finer. And Brian Camp is out there. He's a resident there, and he's on the phone each week. And here we are with the latest developments in today's world of sports. Brian, there you go. Let me see you. Did I punch you up?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
You know, it's said that when you have to, if this virus doesn't kill you, then mental stress will kill you, because there's a lot of people that's under mental stress because of the pandemic. And it's really driving everybody crazy. You know, you could preach, you could talk, you could tell people, take the shot. But, you know, the sad thing about it, you just can't talk to people anymore. Here it is. I think, in my opinion, I think these people are being selfish for not taking the shot. Here it is now, the children's pediatric hospitals are now, their beds are being taken away because of people with COVID-19. Somebody needs treatment for other sicknesses like cancer and anything else, you know, everything else. And they can't be treated because there's no more beds, because everybody's being treated for COVID-19. Take the shot. How simple is that? But there are people with religious reasons and for medical reasons why they don't want to take it. And there's some people that just don't want to take it just for selfishness. So I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to get people to take it, and it just goes in one ear right out the other. As you said, we've heard so many stories of people that's on a ventilator wish that they could have taken the shot. You know, so
yeah. I know what you mean, and I say it every week. But I just want to be hopeful. I guess that's all I'm doing. You could talk till you're blue in the face. When people say they're not going to take it, they're not going to take it. But I just keep my fingers crossed, you know, and just pray that, you know, people come to their senses and do it. And I'm going to keep doing it.
Of course. I mean, you know, I commend you for doing that. But it's a mental stress where, you know, people who are just sitting at home waiting to, you know, don't know what's going to happen to them, and then they're not well. They're sick with other illnesses, and they can't even get into the hospital because beds are being taken away. Beds and rooms are being taken away. And now we have to worry about our little children and the teenagers. And it's sad, but
yeah,
we just keep on pushing. Yeah. But good evening to everybody out there. Talk Back Live, and it's 77 degrees out here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We had a little rainstorm here maybe an hour ago, and it was coming down hard, but the sun was out, but it was still coming down hard. But let's just hope that we get better weather. The weather is warm, it's mild, but let's get to sports. In the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons believe me to be the first NFL team to be 100% vaccinated against COVID-19. Let's give them a round of applause. Great for them. Congratulations. Atlanta's been proactive with vaccinations in the community as well, offering vaccines at its preseason games last Friday. Falcons did have 5 players on the reserve COVID list at the start of training camp, but all have since been removed from the list. Vaccinations is required for all NFL coaches, front officers, executives, equipment managers, scouts. Players are not required to receive the COVID-19 vaccine per agreement with the NFL, the National Football League Players Association. So they don't have to, but coaches and executives and equipment managers, they have to take it. Just one day after being waived by the Detroit Lions, Alex Brown has been charged with connection with a non-fatal car accident that has also injured his teammate. Wayne County, Michigan, the cornerback has been charged with 2 counts of operating while under the influence causing serious injuries and 2 counts of reckless driving causing serious injury. And they didn't say what kind of influence, under the influence. We don't know if it was marijuana, cocaine, or drinking, or whatever. But whatever you're doing that you're not supposed to be doing, that's not legal while driving, just don't do it. You endanger other people's lives, and you could have taken somebody else's life as well as yours. Be safe out there. In Major League Baseball, a T206 Harness Wagner baseball card was sold for $6,606,000, shattering the record for the highest selling sports card of all time. The previous record belonged to a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card that was sold for $5.2 million in January, a record later matched by a 2003 04 Upper Deck exquisite collection LeBron James autographed rookie jersey card in April. So Honus Wagner, very famous baseball player, retired many years ago, has that record now. The Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds will meet in the 2022 edition of Major League Baseball Field of Dreams in Dyersville, Iowa. That stadium was made from scratch. It's built to hold about 8,000 fans and was placed to the actual diamond where the 1989 movie starring Kevin Costner came back for the game between the Yankees and the White Sox, as we seen last week. So they're going to try to make this into an annual thing, and let's see how that works. I'm glad to see it. Bring back a little history. Baseball needs it because baseball has been hit with all sorts of drugs and PEDs and illegal substances. So congratulations to Major League Baseball. Here's something. Detroit Tigers TV analyst Jack Morris said he did not intend for any offensive thing, he said on Tuesday night's broadcast. With the game tied 2-2 in the top of the 6th inning, outfielder Juan Legros had staked out, and LA superstar Shohei Ohtani, that's the great Japanese superstar player who's a pitcher and a player, came up to bat next. Valley Sports Detroit play-by-play announcer Matt Shepard asked Morris, "Now what do you do with Ohtani?" Jack Morris was a Hall of Famer, former baseball player, now his announcer, said in a Japanese accent, "Be very, very careful." That's got him in some big-time trouble. And what happened was he was walked intentionally before the start of the 9th inning when Ohtani was set to bat. Morris addressed his remarks on the telecast and offered his sincere apology. And if he offended anybody, especially anybody in the Asian community, for what he has said. Now today, later on, like in the daytime, Jack Morris was suspended. Can't make racist or any kind of remarks intent to imitate someone's culture. We have to say it was an Asian accent. We don't know if it was a Japanese, Chinese, Koreans. There's a lot of ethnics in the Asian community. So Jack Morris was a very good baseball player during his time, made a mistake. So now he's being suspended. NBA longtime journalist Jackie McCullough will retire from ESPN on August 31st ending a decade-long tenure with the company, Mcconaughey. She has been an NBA reporter for 40 years. She joined ESPN in 2010 after a long career with the Boston Globe. She has appeared in platform as a senior writer for ESPN.com as well as SportsCenter, The Jump, and Outside the Line. So congratulations on her retirement. Well deserved. She's been a great journalist for ESPN and as well for the Boston Globe. Basketball is coming soon. Starts in October, but they already put out 5 big games on Christmas Day of 2021. The Atlanta Hawks will travel to Madison Square Garden to play the Knicks. Boston Celtics will travel to Milwaukee for they will hoist up their championship banner and receive their championship rings. Golden State Warriors will be in Phoenix, and the main game will be the Brooklyn Nets traveling to LA to face the LA Lakers. That's going to be a prime time game. And last game, Dallas versus Utah. That game will be the nightcap. We don't have the exact channels or the networks that it'll be playing on. But this day, August 19th, 1921, Detroit Tiger Ty Cobb is the fourth player to get 3,000 hits against the Boston Red Sox, the youngest ever. 1945, Phillies Jimmy Fox, 37 years old, pitches first 7 innings versus the Reds and wins the game. Jimmy Fox is a former baseball player who is known for his hitting, was called on the pitch. He pitched at the age of 37, pitched 7 innings and got the win. 1951, Bill Veeck, the St. Louis Browns, sends Eddie Goodell, a 3'7" little person, to pitch hit. He walked on 4 pitches. Imagine pitching to a person that's 3'7". It'd be very hard to find the strike zones or try to pitch around him, but he's the shortest person to ever play the game, was pitch hit and walked on 4 pitches. 1957, my New York Giants voted 8-1 to move their franchise to San Francisco. And 1980, Jordan Red ends his hitting streak at 30. And in 1995, Mike Tyson returned to the ring after serving 3 years in prison and disqualified Pete McNeely in only 89 seconds. Typical Mike Tyson fight. Who ends a fight? If you go to the concession stand, you better hurry up and get back, because the fight is usually going to be over within that time. And that's sports.
No, strike zones is always determined on a person's height. Just like you mentioned, this guy's a real little guy, but his strikes, as you already know in baseball, the strike zones at the letter high. Letter high is a strike. I think to above the knee, but if someone's that short, man, they got to go back to the drawing board on that one. Yeah,
well, that happened a long time ago. That happened back in, what did I say? Back in 1945. Yeah.
My Yankees are on the board 6-0 right now as we speak.
Yeah. Yankees are hot. Yankees are playing great baseball right now. They are hitting the ball. They're playing. A lot of their players are coming back from COVID. A lot of them was on the COVID reserve list. They have some of them have recorded, caught the virus, but they are now quarantined. The ace, Garrett Cole, is back. So the Yankees is ripping the ball all over the place, and now they hold the first wild card, and they're up by 1 game. They dismantled the Red Sox. They swept the Red Sox a couple of days ago.
Yeah, boy. Well, listen. I'm gonna. I know it's late, but miracles happen. So we'll see. And like I always say, each week I always say, for better or worse.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, but I guess we'll catch you back. It's great to be back on Facebook again too. I couldn't tell you. It's really good to be back here. And we'll be back on Facebook tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow too with more sports.
Okay. Have a good evening.
You take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that's Brian Kemp, ladies and gentlemen, with the latest developments in today's world of sports, a sports update. And he's taking his first shot back here on Facebook and YouTube as we simulcast each week. We're back on Facebook. Those of you who are just joining us, my name is Frank Allan. The name of the show is called Talk Back Live. Brian, by the way, will be back here tomorrow morning with us on the coffee hour, which we'll tell you more about that later, along with DJ Pete. We have what they call the 2020 feature. Brian Kent will be here 20 past the hour, DJ Pete 20 to the hour. Brian, of course, with sports, DJ Pete with entertainment, and of course, reciting all of those birthdays of people of notoriety. So we have a lot. We have a lot to do, and it's good to know that we're back on Facebook again. For those of you who are just joining us on Facebook for the first time, or anywhere, Facebook or YouTube for the first time, don't make it your last time. Make it your weekly habit. You know, if you're on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This way, you'll never miss a show. All you have to do is when we get on the air or we send stuff out on YouTube, or there's other videos or whatever we do, you're going to be the first to know it because we'll send you notification, you know, that we're on the air, and then you'll never have to miss a show. That's each week right here on Talkback Live, and it's every Thursday between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. We're so glad to have all of you out there. It's really great. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to finish up with that virus thing, and I'll say it one last time. Please go get your shot. I mean, people are doing it. People who have said before in the past that they're not going to do it wind up doing it, which is good news because we don't want to wait till people actually get sick, and we don't want anything to happen, you know. And as Brian said, you know, you can talk till you're blue in the face, but I'm just hopeful. I keep doing it because I believe in this vaccine, and I believe it works. And I couldn't tell you how many people that I know personally have gotten COVID even before the vaccines came out, and somehow overcame it, you know. So can you imagine if the people that I knew, you know, when this first started, before the vaccines came out, they got COVID and they came through it. Can you imagine what happens if they had taken the vaccine, if the vaccine was available? So please, ladies and gentlemen, you know, everybody's not going to get that lucky though. You know, if you're unvaccinated and you get COVID, you may get lucky. I hope you do. You know, just like Governor Abbott. Greg Abbott, I hope he pulls through this. You know, I hope he's doing well, and I wish that for him. You know, I don't know whether or not he had gotten vaccinated or not. I'm not sure. If he did, then that's a plus on him, and that would be great. But I hope it's a mild condition that he's experiencing, because this is no time for people to fall into a category where we have to get to hospitals. This is not the time for it. No time is the time for it, but especially right now, because hospitals are getting crowded again. Ventilators are very few. Beds are thinning out, you know, and they're looking for places to go, you know, to get people into these hospitals. And it's not like it was before, where people were waiting out in the hallways. Their beds were out in the hallways until they were able to get a room. It didn't get to that point yet, and I hope it doesn't get to that point. It's not a good time for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, please. Okay, on this day in history in 1914, a message to the Senate. U.S. President Woodrow Wilson urges the American people to be natural in fact as well as name. Neutral in fact as well as name. On this day in history in 1918, Irving Berlin's musical Yip Yip, Yip Yip, sound like Yip Yip, doo wop, Yip Yip, boom boom, ooh wop ba ba, ring a ding ding ding. Yip Yip. The name of the show is called Yip Yip Yap Hank. It premiered in New York City. I've never heard of it, but there you go. On this day in history, 1942, World War II, over 4,000 Canadian and British soldiers were killed, wounded, or captured, raiding in France. On this day in history, 1944, last Japanese troops driven out of India. On this day in 1950, ABC begins Saturday morning kids show, Animal Clinic and And let's see, Animal Clinic and Acrobat. That's the name of those shows. 1950, the year of that. In 1954, American Ralph Bunche is American. Ralph Bunche named Undersecretary of the UN. In 1955, WINS radio station in New York City announces it will not play white cover versions of R&B music, such as Fast Domino, Ain't That a Shame. All the DJs were not allowed to play the white versions of it, which was by this time was recorded by Pat Boone. On this day in history, 1959, satellite discovers 6 launch into polar orbit. On this day in history, 1960, the first commercial atomic energy owned by the Yankees. I didn't know that. Owned by the Yankees? Or are they talking about the New York Yankees? Well, anyway, it says the first commercial atomic energy reactor owned by the Yankees, Atomic Electric Company, achieves a self-sustaining nuclear reaction in Roe Deer Park, or that's Fairfield River, Massachusetts. In 1961, U.S. Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson visits West Berlin. On this day in history, 1967, the Beatles, All You Need Is Love. That was a single. It goes to number 1. On this day in history, 1976, President Gerald Ford wins Republican presidential nomination at KC Convention. In 1978, 422 die in an arsenic fire at a movie theater in Iran, I should say. On this day in history, 1984, Republican convention in Dallas, Texas, nominates Ronald Reagan for president. In 1988, Iran and Iraq began a ceasefire in their 8-year-old war. In the year 2008, I would say, you could say 2008, but 2008, the famed duet album by Lady Gaga is released. That's the famed duet by Lady Gaga was released, let's see, Academy Award album of the year. And it won best in 2009, the Electric Dance album. That's the name of that album, Lady Gaga. Okay, and let's see, fashion designer Coco Chanel was born on this day in 1883, and she was born in France. She passed away January 10th, 1971 at the age of 87. Publisher Malcolm Forbes was born on this day in 1919. He was born in Brooklyn, New York. Way to go, Brooklyn. He passed away February 24th of 1990 at the age of 70 from a heart attack. President Bill Clinton, born on this day in 1946. Happy birthday, Mr. President. And of course, he was born in Hope, Arkansas, and he's 74 today. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Actor Matthew Perry was born on this day as well in 1969 in Williamston, Massachusetts. He's 51 today. Matthew Perry is one of the cast members of Friends, I believe. And let's see, 1933, French singer Edith Piaf. She was the one that composed that song, If You Love Me, If You Really Love Me, that was sung by Vicky Carr, and then a few other people did that. She got married to Andrew Jomstep in Paris, Bellevue, Paris. On this day in history, 1956, actor Christopher Plummer gets married to Tammy Grimes. She's actress Tammy Grimes in Cherokee Castle in Colorado. In 1993, actress Kim Basinger weds Alec Baldwin. Remember that, but then they divorced later on after that. The year 2011, let's see, Andrea Curry divorced the Brady Bunch. That's Adrienne Curry from the Brady Bunch. She weds Christopher Knight. He's from the Brady Bunch. 5 years of marriage. 5 years of marriage. They were divorced after 5 years of marriage. Groucho Marx. Remember Groucho Marx? Groucho Marx was born, passed away on this day in 1977 at the age of 86. He was born October 7th, 1890 in New York City, and he died from pneumonia. And so, and finally, the year 2001, R&B singer Betty Everett. That was the one that did the Shoop Shoop. She was the original one that did the Shoop Shoop song. And she also did a duet with Jerry Butler, Let It Be Me. She passed away on this day in 2001. And so that's this day in history. Hi, everybody. My name is Frank Allan. And just in case you're just joining us, the name of the show is called Talk Back Live. And of course, we're here each and every Thursday without fail. Each and every Thursday. And we come to you live. We're all around the world. And of course, we come to you live, all of you from Facebook, all of you YouTube. We're now back in simulcast. We're simulcasting on Facebook and YouTube. We're back together again. Thank you. I'm so happy about that. So I want to say hello to you guys in Facebook land and in YouTube land. Thank you so much for being along with us. If you want to say hi, of course, we would like you to do that. All you have to do is just let your fingers do the walking. I will see you and I will acknowledge you without fail. And so there you go. So much to do today, but thank you so much for being along with us. Woo, here's a little news for you. And I'm kind of like baffled about it because he's one of my favorite singers and he's the last of the American songbook singers. And I'm referring to Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett is 95 years old. You know that, right? Tony Bennett is 95 years old. Now, Tony Bennett celebrated his 95th birthday with a couple of concerts at the Radio City Music Hall with Lady Gaga. We just talked about Lady Gaga, one of his favorite people that he liked to record with, along with Diane Krall and all other people like that, at Radio City Music Hall. And they're saying now that he's retired. He's forced to retire from show business following those cancellations of some of those shows that he was doing. And particularly, we talk about the one at Radio City Music Hall in New York City. He was forced to retire, and that's his son gave this statement, Danny Bennett, his son, and his manager. News come after the cancellation of the remaining of the 2021 tour dates. And early this year, Bennett's family revealed that he has been battling Alzheimer's disease since 2016, and so now he's forced to leave us. He's still alive, all right, but we hope that the rest of his years and his retirement, he gave us so much. Tony Bennett gave us so much, and as I said, he's the last of the popular songbook singers, the last of them. I mean, yeah. Who else can you count? I mean, there are new ones coming up, but I'm talking about the last of the originals. I mean, he's up there with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, Sammy Davis, and Vic Damone, and Perry Como, and all of those guys, right? He's the last, Tony Bennett. And so now he's retired, and we wish him the very best. The thing I like about Tony Bennett, here's a man that once said in an interview, he was asked, when are you going to retire? And Tony Bennett said, I'm never going to retire. And here's a man, 95 years old and still willing to go out there and sing. And he said he wasn't going to retire. And you can tell, you look at a person and you can tell a person that they like what they do. He loved what he did. He loved playing music, making music, recording music, meeting people along the way, adapted to the business as it came along. People of his era from way back in the 40s came along, and now they're recording with people like Lady Gaga. He recorded with people like Diane Krall, another jazz singer, youngs. She's a youngster. I mean, not youngster, but she's young. Recorded with her. Uh, Recorded with Amy Winehouse, the late Amy Winehouse. Recorded with her. They did a good job together on an album that they recorded. Unfortunately, she passed away. That kind of got to him too when that happened. Uh, but he learned to adapt from where he came from up until this present moment when he got these young people. He recorded, I guess, you're Tony Bennett. You're going to choose who you want to sing with. You just don't walk in a room and sing with Tony Bennett. It doesn't work that way. And I think he was able to, I think he saw something in the people that I just named, and he worked with them. He did concerts with them. He recorded with them. But he adapted through the years, all of those different generations, it's over 60 years, over 60, 60 decades, 60. And he came along and he adapted it to this day, to all of the young people that they weren't even born when he was like in his prime, like in his early years. They weren't even born. Can you imagine growing up as a little kid listening to Tony Bennett at that young age and saying, boy, I would love to work with him, and then wind up working with him? Isn't that something? If you're in an industry, let's say radio, when I started in radio, I I've met people, I've listened to them on the air when I was a kid, and then later on started to work with them. Never thought that would ever happen. Some people I enjoyed it. Some people, well, whatever. That's another show. But you wake up one day. You're a little kid and you're listening to these people, Tony Bennett, and then not thinking, and you enjoy them so much. You say, "Oh man, I love his music. I'm going to play it. I love his music, and I am going to pattern myself after him." And you wind up working with him. He was also in an interview too, and being that he was on the par with Sinatra and all those guys, they were all together. They were all running buddies. They were all there musically. I mean, maybe not running buddies, on the prowl or anything, but they were there musically. They were always there. They did concerts together. They did TV shows together, and Tony Bennett, he did a little acting. Along with Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis, all those guys, they had their hand in acting. They did acting, but he worked with all of these guys. But he said one day, someone asked him, "Did you pattern yourself after anyone?" And he says, "No." He says, "No." He says, "You can't do that." He says, "Because if you do that, you're never going to grow," which is a fact. Which is a fact. Some people, they're whatever business they're in the arts, they might want to pattern. You might have someone that you admire very well, and you might want to pattern your style after them. But I say, if you want to pattern your style after a person, it's okay. I don't think that's what Tony Bennett was saying. I don't think he just said for himself. No, he didn't want to pattern himself after anyone, except for maybe a couple of musicians that he studied. Like Stan Getz or someone like that, and he used his voice as the instrument. But I say, if you're going to pattern yourself after someone, use it for a short while, a very short while, then break away and find yourself. Some people don't find themselves, and I think that's probably what's wrong. I'm not saying that's true, but I think in my experience in watching new talent grow up, coming in, some they stay for a while and they leave. Some have one-hit wonders and they just leave and they go because they sound like someone else that's already done that record. I never forget the time I heard, remember Frida Payne's record, Band of Gold, very popular record back in the 70s, early 70s. Frida Payne, Band of Gold. And someone else cut that record. I can't think of her name offhand. I used to know her name, but I can't think of her name offhand. Cut that record with the same orchestration. I wonder if she used the same track. I doubt it. I doubt if she used the same track because, that's illegal, unless, of course, you get the permission. But the same orchestration, she cut it, and it sounds just like Frida Payne. So I'm wondering if she's still active today, unless, of course, she broke out of that mold, But it's all right to pattern yourself after someone, but don't stay there too long. It's you can't do that for too long. It's not a good thing. So anyway, that goes back to saying to Tony Bennett, I wish him a lot of luck. I enjoy his music. I listen to his music all the time. I have personally his music that I listen to. I remember this morning, I go on my little coffee hour and I have my earbuds, my music, and I'm moody about music. I have different kinds of music that I like. Now, when I was a disc jockey, I played certain kinds of music. I played, you name it, I played it. Jazz, doo-wops, soft rock, country. I played it all. I did every kind of format you ever want to name. And I'm kind of, and that's because I'm universal when it comes to music, except for a couple of things that I may not like. But I'm universal. And in my playlist, in my phone, I have all kinds of music. And there's a time when I like what they used to call beautiful music. That music that you hear in the elevator. Oh yeah, I have a mood for that music, and so I'm listening to. I got the playlist. I turn on my playlist and I select the beautiful music. And Tony Bennett was on it, and I'm listening to Tony Bennett and people like Andre Castellana. You may not know these people if you're younger. People like Vic Damone, Rosemary Clooney. Oh, I love her. I loved her. And all of this great music that I remember from when I was in high school back in the 60s, whenever we were recording in the 60s. And then back in high school, I was kind of a guy that I love universal music, but when you're that age, you have peer pressure, and the teenagers that you hang around with have one different kind of music that they listen to, and then you hang out with them, and that's the music you're listening to. But when I'm gone from them, I'm in solitude, I'm at home, I listen to whatever I want to listen to, and beautiful music was one of them. I used to love it. They used to have this station in New York called WHN. They used to have that kind of music. They switched formats, but now, they used to have that kind of music. And I used to love the music. And every once in a while, I may turn on, let's say, an internet radio station that specializes in that kind of music and listen to it. Or, like I said, I have my earbuds and in my phone, I have my own playlist of all kinds of different music. So anyway, I'm listening to the music today. I'm having my coffee. I'm listening to Tony Bennett, and I'm just thinking, this was music. This was Tony Bennett back in his day. Great music. 95 years old. I wish Tony Bennett a lot of luck. And if for some reason, if he comes out for one last concert, I want to try to get there. I've never had the pleasure of watching Tony Bennett on stage, but I can tell that he loved what he does. If you ever noticed, Tony Bennett always had that smile on his face. He looked like he was born with a smile on his face. You ever meet people that look like they're always smiling, and even when they're not smiling, it looks like they're smiling. And that's the kind of face Tony Bennett had. And when he's on the stage, I watched him on TV, and he always had that smile. Always. He loved that music. He just loved it. And so if he were able to come out one last concert, and if it's in my hometown, I would go to see it. I've never had the pleasure of seeing Tony Bennett on stage, but I always had the pleasure of playing his music. I loved it. Loved it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, listen, we're winding up time. It's coming up to 5 minutes to the hour now, and we're almost finished with the show. But right now, I want to get together and tell you what's happening on Turner Classic Movies. Now, there's not much to choose from. I didn't have a big choice of shows or anything like that this week, but they are having a Katharine Hepburn marathon, a Katharine Hepburn mini marathon, And this marathon is on, it starts Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Saturday morning at 6 a.m. to Sunday morning at 6 a.m. 24 hours of great Katharine Hepburn movies. And here are some of the movies that I've seen that I like. They're all there, and here it is. Going back to 1935, a film called Break of Hearts, 1935. Here's another one that comes on right after that, and these come on in succession. They come back to back from Saturday 6 a.m. to Sunday at 6 a.m. Is a back to back. They come in this order. Break of Hearts, 1935. Christopher Song, 1933. A Woman Rebels, 1936. Alice Adams, 1935. Bringing Up Baby, 1938. The Sea of Grass, 1947. Let's clear that up. It's the grass that you sit on. Sea of Grass, 1947. Let's see. Let's see. I did say, Woman of the Year. That comes on after Bringing Up Baby. Woman of the Year, 1938, and then Sea of Grass, 1947. 1949, Adam's Rib. This one was Spencer Tracy. Also another one with Spencer Tracy called Desk Set, back in 1957. You had The Rainmaker back in 1956. The Lion in Winter, 1968. And here's a little something, not a movie, but it's called About Me, a self-portrait. It's all about her, Katharine Hepburn. That comes on right after The Lion in the Winter, 1968. And then the last one ends up The Iron Petticoat, 1956. All of these are Katharine Hepburn movies. And so that's a mini movie. I didn't have anything to choose from, but I chose this because if you like Katharine Hepburn, you got a mini marathon here from 6 in the morning on Saturday to 6 in the morning on Sunday. Again, here are the quickies in the order. Break of Hearts, Christopher Song, A Woman Rebels, Alice Adams, Bringing Up Baby, Woman of the Year, The Sea of Grass, Adam's Rib, Desk Set, The Rainmaker, The Lion in the Winter, All About Me, that's a self-portrait of Katharine Hepburn, and The Iron Petticoat. So if you like Katharine Hepburn, and who doesn't, I love her, you got all those movies. A mini marathon starts at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. And so those are my picks for this week on Turner Classic Movie. Now, if you desire to see more Turner Classic Movies, of course, you can go to the banner there and go scan right through it, and you'll find other movies that you may like on Turner Classic Movies. And you could also go on demand. That's cable on demand, movies on demand, and they have all the networks there. If you missed any shows, or even they have the Turner Classic Movie icon that you click on, and you'll have all of those movies. All the networks are there, sports, everything that you can imagine, and comedy shows and everything else. So that should set you for the weekend. So please be in mind, that's the way that is. That's going to do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I enjoyed it very much. And of course, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. And because now we're back on Facebook, I invite you to come back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, when I will be having the coffee hour and the 2020 feature along with Brian Camp and DJ Pete. Brian Camp with Sports Update, 20 after the hour, and 22 the hour. You have DJ Pete, of course, with his entertainment news, and of course reciting all of those wonderful birthdays and as such. Other than that, you can catch us back here next Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern, right here for more of Talk Back Live. It's you and me, and we are going to have a ball. In the meantime, you guys have a wonderful morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a pleasant night. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.